Morning, everybody. As you're joining us, we've got Yael Geffen with us this morning on our on our Monday motivation speaker showcase sort of kickoff. We also have with us our partners, Better Place to Work, that some of you may know from our showcase. They're all about, as is Yale, all about creating better workplaces, better environments to work in. So they will be on the call as well. So if you've got questions to ask about, what should we be doing, about how should we develop better place to work, that they're all there to help and assist. Um, but back to Yale. So Yale is one of the youngest, or was one of the youngest CEOs, probably still is, in the property sector of the sort of the top three or four brands. She is the, I think, only, sorry, the youngest, not the youngest. Sorry, let me start again.
Youngest.
Yale, the only female CEO in real estate brands, and the youngest, one of the youngest CEOs, I think, in South Africa. So she's on the call today to talk about, we talk about things like fake it until you make it, and I think Yale is pretty passionate about maybe not doing things like that. Sort of go the hard yards. I don't think she had any interest herself in real estate, even though it was in her family. Her grandmother kind of started the business. Those of you that have been doing your research would know this. But it didn't really sort of show signs of getting involved at all, and went and pioneered her career in the US. Looking at, working with a company, I think it's called Noodle Soup, where she learned all about business development. I saw one of her references, just loving Yale and her business development plan, and how she carved her way in the US. So much so that I think her father then asked her to actually come back and work in the business, because really valued her skills, and I think jumped in at the opportunity, and the rest is history. Became CEO, and I think she's also a very staunch advocate of mental health, because it wasn't all tulips and daffodils in America carving her way there. She had mental health challenges, and instead of just hiding it under the carpet, and Yale is a big ambassador of mental health, and in terms of talking about it, doing something about it. It's quite alarming when you think that we all talk about diabetes and cancer, and there isn't even a lot of cure for a lot of cancers. But we're not even talking about mental health as we should be, where there actually is plenty of options. From diet to breathing to so many things, and yet mental health kind of affects just about all of us in some way. We either personally, or we know somebody that's involved in that. So yeah, I think Yale is a fantastic. She's like an all rounder, really, for those of us that are looking for speakers in the industry. She's got that entrepreneurial background. She's got that amazing leadership sort of quality about her, from a male-female perspective, and then also for women, out there. I was doing some research, getting on the call, and it's alarming. I mean, maybe Yale, you can back me up, how many female CEOs there are in the world. In 2023, we were on the sort of the up at about 28%, and then in 2024, it dropped to 19%, and that's global. We're not even talking about what it's like in Africa. So it's remarkably low, and I think there are a lot of maybe female sort of go-getters out there that that want to embrace life by the horns, but they're, I suppose, thinking this kind of thing will probably never happen, and yet here you are, Yale. So on that note, over to you.
Thank you, Paul, for such a wonderful introduction. I think you've done my talk. I think we're just about done.
No, not in the
Yes,
slightest.
there has been a decline in female CEOs, which is alarming, actually, because it should be going the other way around. And that's one of my missions, to allow women to stand up and be unapologetically themselves, and just they deserve a seat at the table. But that's another talk. Today we're talking about resilience. So As Paul mentioned, I have had quite an interesting life. Lots of things haven't been planned. And, they say when man makes plans, God laughs. So I just want to share my personal journey and approach resilience a little bit differently. We all have this picture of what resilience is. And through my journey and the amount of trauma, pain, and growth that I went through, I think I have learned that we can reframe it a different way. So I'll start off at the beginning. It was 2002, and it was my birthday. And my late brother Barack and I had a terrible fight. I was 22 at the time. And it was my birthday dinner that evening, but I found myself in a puddle of tears driving to Chapman's Peak, which is the top cliff in Cape Town, the highest cliff in Cape Town. And I was standing there looking down. And at that moment, a friend of mine who was at the birthday called me and said, Yael, where are you? And I'm at your birthday dinner. Where are you? And I said, I'm at Chapman's Peak. And she said, why? And I said, I don't know. I don't know. It was a year later that I was living in New York City, which, is the most thriving, bustling city in the world. And I found myself going through severe panic and anxiety, night terrors, so bad to the point where I was on the metro the one day, standing in front of the A train, and I heard a voice in the back of my head saying, jump in front of the train, Yael, jump. And I burst out crying, and I thought to myself, I am going crazy. And I remembered that I had just visited a GP, a doctor, the week before. And I thought to myself, let me go see her. Let me go get some help. So I ran to the doctor. I got there very quickly. I barged in through her rooms. She was actually treating a patient. And I said, I'm so sorry to burst in like this, but I don't believe in depression. I don't believe in anything like this. But if you do not get me something to take, I might not be around tomorrow. And she gave me what became the start of a journey with medicine. And she also told me I should go to therapy and actually see a psychiatrist to make sure I'm on the right medicine. So this journey, together with my brother's help, Barack, you see, he had suffered from depression. And I always told him it was always in your head. It's not real. And now I was going through it myself, and I felt so guilty and apologetic because here I was suffering from the worst imaginable depression. And in therapy, it unveiled a lot of traumatic stuff that happened in my childhood. I had suffered childhood sexual abuse, and it manifested later in bulimia when I was 16, which is a very common link for eating disorders and some kind of sexual or traumatic childhood abuse. And it was on a journey where I learned that I had the condition bipolar, which is also known as manic depression. And I have the less of the severe ones, which thankfully makes it a little bit easier on me. I'm sure it's very difficult for those that have bipolar 1. But it was a journey nonetheless. And with the medicine, the therapy, I was able to thrive in New York City. I was living my dream life. I had sustained a long-term relationship, and I had a wonderful career, and it was wonderful. And in 2009, I was let go, unfortunately, in 2008. And I've been let go twice, actually. So there's only one difference between me and Roosevelt. It's that I was only let go twice, not 3 times. So I'm aiming for it, but I'm hoping it doesn't happen too soon. So I was let go. My boyfriend and I broke up, and I thought, let me go visit home. Let me go visit South Africa and be with my family for a while. And I did. And something very traumatic happened in 2009. My brother Barack, that I was talking about, that helped me through my depression and my meds journey, he committed suicide. And it was on the 6th of September at about 12 p.m. We found his body dead. It was so traumatic for the family, for me, knowing that he was my best friend, he was my rock. And there was a long time where I actually felt like I couldn't live without him. He was my soulmate. I'd never had such a close friendship and relationship, and I almost felt guilty that I couldn't help him the way he had helped me, like a failure. I even remember the one time I was having breakfast and I was sitting there and I was imagining him sitting next to me, chomping away at his cereal. I could even hear him chomping away at his cereal. And I just started to cry. I started to actually howl like an injured wolf. And it was a terrible time. And till this day, I'm so appreciative of his help in my mental health journey. But I'm very sad that he is no longer by my side. But it was due to Barack that I actually landed up becoming a director on the company that I sit today and the company in which I lead. Because Barack worked in the family business and he was a director. And when he took time off to go and heal, he actually had appointed me as his alternate director. And after he passed away, I took on that job. I wasn't even coming back to live in South Africa. I was headed back to New York City. And now I thought, well, let me get stuck in and help the family business. I'm still planning on going to New York City. I visit there from time to time, but somewhere the dream is there. It's my home. It's certainly my home. So I sat on the board for a few years, and with all these traumatic events, it's like playing a good game of whack-a-mole. You just don't know when the next one is coming up next. And with everything that I'd experienced, nothing prepared me for what happened in 2016. It was at our company conference at Spear Wine Estate. And our CEO at the time was charged with murdering his wife at our company event and staging it as suicide. Now, this was all over the press, and it was a hectic time for our company. What went from me going into the room to help turned into a literal crime scene. I had been the first one to contact the ambulance. I saw her lifeless body there, which brought my brother's body and his death straight back, flooding into memories. And all of a sudden, from helping, I land up being a state witness at a murder trial, and my fingerprints are taken by the police. You can't write this stuff. It's so unrealistic that if I presented this to you as a show, you would say, there's too many wild things happening here. It's too over the top, but this has been my life. And there's that Shakespearean quote about greatness, that some of us are born great, others become great, and some of us are thrust into greatness. Well, the latter was for me, because overnight I took on the CEO position, something that I didn't even want, but to help a family business in a time of crisis. I was responsible for 500 agents, an international brand represented in South Africa, a PR nightmare. I took over during a technical recession. And I was the youngest CEO, I still am, Paul, and the only female CEO in real estate. There's only a new one now for Century 21, and I'm so excited for her. But still, in the top 3 brands, I'm the only female, I'm the youngest, took over during a technical recession. I am the chairman's daughter, so nepotism, ding, 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 had to prove myself. It was a fun time. It was a really, really fun time. That's all I can say. And people who know me and love me have said to me in my life, Yael, you know what you're like? You're like a cockroach. You can survive nuclear warfare. And it got me thinking because I realized that this is the hand that I've been dealt, but why? And I turn to them and I say, no, I'm a fungus. Yes, let me repeat myself. I'm a fungus. And I will tell you why. Because fungi are the most resilient creatures on earth. They have the ability to create, the ability to destroy. They create food, wine, cheese, antibiotics. They create zombie ants. I don't know if you know that, but they can kill ants and bring them back to life. They live a vast network underneath the ground. It's like a Wi Fi system that makes our internet look like dial up. And when I think of all these fungi and the roles they play in the earth, in creation, in destruction, they're the most resilient creatures on earth. I thought to myself, I think the way we are looking at resilience is all wrong. You know, it's not that dramatic tiger that's on the poster or fanfare or the most overt. It's actually what lies beneath. And then I thought about the world that we live in at this point in time. It's so comfortable. We're so comfortable. We struggle with pain. We move away from it. You know, when I was living in New York City, I remember this was before Uber Eats. And I used to order takeaway at 3 in the morning. And I was like, oh, this is amazing. And now there's Uber Eats everywhere. We want a car, there's Uber. You know, we want to write a talk, there's AI. Don't worry, I didn't write this talk on AI. But there's everything. We are at war with the uncomfortable. But you know, pain is magic. Destruction is so important for construction. And one of my life highlights so far has been the opportunity of interviewing Dr. Edith Eger. And Dr. Eger wrote the books, The Choice and the Gift. And she is one of the last remaining Auschwitz survivors. And she writes all about her experience in the death camps and how she transcended this into meaning. Dr. Viktor Frankl was her mentor. And Edith's quote that I love, there are two. One of them is, suffering is universal, victimhood is optional. And when someone says, why me? She says, why not you? Why not you? So we are so uncomfortable with pain. And perhaps we can reimagine what resilience is, not in that overt, dramatic flair kind of way, but look to the fungi. Look to the fungi to teach us the best lessons on being resilient, about creation, about destruction, about turning toxicity into nourishment. You know, if I think about the most expensive food on earth, it's truffles, right? Truffles. If I think about what's healing psychiatry at the moment, psilocybin will probably be soon made open to the public, just like cannabis. It has shown tremendous effects of healing psychiatric disorders and conditions. And we can look to the fungi to help us. There are three power blocks that I have learned in being resilient. There's the power block of shame. We all carry it. I did from my childhood. I did not being able to help my brother not kill himself. I even took on the shame of me not feeling good enough as a CEO, feeling like I had a crisis of confidence, like I didn't belong there. Women have generational shame, ancestry of shame, dating all the way back to the very beginning where we were on show. If you look at Bridgerton, that season in Bridgerton where you're on show and only the diamond gets picked, the most pretty and the courteous and the one that's the most silent, you know? And then we have the blockage of lack, scarcity. And there's no lack in the fungi kingdom. They're everywhere. I mean, we breathe in 90,000 spores a day just to keep us alive. So then we have lack, which is scarcity and thinking that there's not enough. And if you succeed, that means I'm not going to succeed. And then that creates unhealthy competition. And the irony is, if we collaborate just like the fungi, we create ecosystems around the world, mentors. And then we have isolation. Isolation is a pandemic that we have experienced long before lockdown, but that's gotten even worse. Loneliness is the new pandemic. It's the new illness that's killing all of us. Our suicide figures are the highest they've ever been in history. South Africa's #1 cause of death in over 50-year-olds is suicide. What does that tell us? How lonely and isolated are we? We are lonely, we are isolated, and we feel like a failure. I'm a single mom. If I ask for help, I feel like a failure. I should be able to do everything by myself. I should be a CEO, a working mom, a single mom. I should be able to travel. I should be able to do it all. But what we do is we isolate ourselves. And in Winnie the Pooh, there's that moment where Piglet says to Pooh, Pooh, what's the bravest word you've ever said? And Pooh says, help. And that's what I've learned to do. So I've got mastermind groups around me. I'm the first now to ask for help. If I'm having a bad day, I share it with the world on LinkedIn, not to get attention, but to shed light that we're not alone, that we're not alone. And it's okay not to be okay. And if you look at how the fungi are so resilient and we can look towards them as our teachers. You know, there's that saying, my octopus teacher. Well, I think we can look to fungi as teachers, as to teachers to how to reimagine resilience and how it's not all about that dramatic air and flair and loudness and boldness, but it's about learning to stay still and stay strong. Resilience is what's underneath our feet. It's growing at every moment, creating an ecosystem. And if we can look to be like the fungi, can you imagine? Let's turn to the fungi, learn from them, learn from their structures, their ecosystems, their building networks, their creation, their ability to create nourishment out of toxicity, because the answer to resilience, ladies and gentlemen, is not what's above the surface. It's about what's happening beneath our feet and learning how to blossom in the dark. And only then can we rise, once we learn how to reimagine resilience. Thank you.
Amazing. Yeah, it's you could just hear the roar in the background, the cheers from a from a Monday, a pretty fresh Monday morning in Johannesburg, anyway, and then to all the others that are on the call. Yael, thank you. It was such a warm, I mean, a moving story, shall I say? And you really did talk about being vulnerable and authentic. I mean, you really did open up to us, and sure. Um, we've got a question from Mercy. So Mercy, somebody after she's also global business development, and you can think back to a time in your life when you were involved in that for Better Place to Work. And Better Place to Work is a fantastic company that really does help organizations connect better with their team. You talk about collaboration with the fungi. That's how they thrive, right? They collaborate, they work together, and they're amazing. And she has a question now for you. If you could challenge every leader in the room to change just one thing to build resistance in their teams, what would it be? Um, hmm, Good question.
Very
Expect
good
nothing.
question. Thank you for your question, Mercy. I'm going to go back to Pooh and Roo. Help.
Nice.
Because I find in my team, what we do is, well, what I do, how I lead is I actually have a WhatsApp group with every one of them on it, the team WhatsApp group, which we all do, but I'm just going to share something I do a little differently. And what happens is we are all accountable, but you don't just create accountability, you earn accountability from your staff. And what we do is if one of us drops the ball on something, we literally put it on the group. So I might say, listen, do we have this artwork for then? Or has someone organized this event or the franchisees win a trip? And I've basically encouraged my staff to actually be open and vulnerable when they have dropped a ball. Because if I know if they've dropped a ball, first, I can do damage control. Otherwise, it's out there and I'm on the back foot. So each of us, including me, I'll say, oh, guys, damn it, I completely forgot. Sorry. We need to do X, Y, and Z. I know I was supposed to do that. Da, 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 da. And by doing that, I've actually created this conversation of asking them for help in order to be a team, to be accountable. And what it does is if we have one staff member that's sick or not doing well, I have someone that works with me with severe bipolar disorder. He is the most brilliant man. He's like that Brilliant Mind movie with Russell Crowe. And he's nocturnal and he has different working hours. And traditionally, a boss would fire him, but he is so brilliant. And I get his rhythm. I mean, he's like my little fellow fungi. I get him, you know? And if
Amazing.
someone like him is in hospital or has to take time off, the rest of us pull together as a team because we're all accountable. So I've taught my team how to say help by asking them for help. And that's how you create resilient staff.
And that's what you're saying about accountability. I mean, it's one of the things that we as a team are challenged with sometimes is to how do we create accountability amongst ourselves? You know, sometimes people. I'm not saying it's indicative of our team, but sometimes people are afraid to put their hands up and be accountable because it's a risk, right? But you say you've got that sort of culture or that environment where you're making it easier to create accountability amongst your team. It's just is that what you're saying? Because that's a really good. It's a really good situation to be in where you've got people putting their hands up and saying, "Listen, I'll be accountable. I'll." Because what they feel they can ask for help, or what do you feel? We just examine that just a little bit more.
Example, I have a personal assistant at the moment that's not cutting it, and she's tried her hardest, and she has resigned twice, and then said, "I love this job. Please take me back." She was a fill-in for my personal assistant that I had for 3 years, and she's immigrated to Australia, and I hate her for it every moment of my life. But she is one of my best friends. But this
Partnership.
assistant, this
Mm.
assistant just resigned now. And instead of me being this like I was saying, the opposite of the fungi, being this like, guys,
Mm.
we're fine, we're okay, I'm on top of it, I'm this, I'm that, me. I actually said to my team, look, so and so has left us in the busiest season. It's the most difficult time in the year for us to be without a staff member because I have another one going on maternity leave, another one's on leave. And I said, and guys, I need help. I need help. Who can help me take on X of what she was doing? Who can help me take on Y of what she's doing? Who can tell me how to go on this? And every one of my team put their hand up and said, no problem, I got it. Because when they need help, we're all there for them. So it's
Right.
this collaborative environment, it's the ecosystem of resilience.
I got you. I got you. But it starts by encouraging everyone to ask for help to begin with. And then when they realize the benefits of all of that and they say, okay, well, listen, you were there for me. I'm absolutely, I see exactly where you're going with it. Thank you.
And Paul,
Um,
it's like if my culture is if you haven't asked me for help or a team member and you know it's available and you've still dropped the ball, that's unacceptable
yeah,
because we've been here.
right,
You know what I mean? So it's
right.
not just all creating this lovey-dovey work culture with no consequences, but it
Yes,
creates the loyalty and the accountability if they can come to you before the disasters happened.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I get you. I get you, of course. Lovely, lovely. Well, I mean, there's lots more comments. I think maybe just a final question from me would be, you've got this remarkable ability of being able to, really focus on what's important in the business, despite the numerous challenges and really, emotional challenges as well, that you've had. I mean, is there like just a secret success with that, or you just I mean, it's a really good skill, and I think so needed in today's environment because it's not a case of how much disruption we're going to get. Well, it's because we know what's coming down that funnel at any minute. It can just be there's more and more and more hectic scenarios that some of them are quite dramatic. But having that ability of being able to problem solve the way you do, just being able to remove the everything else around you for the moment, to say, let's just focus on what we need to do. Let's get this fixed and move on. It's such a remarkable skill in this day and age. Is there anything that you could say that helps you with that?
Definitely. I'll talk about it in one of my talks. So I'm very calm in chaos, and then I have my breakdown afterwards when everything's running smoothly. Then I'm like, oh my God. So you have to allow yourself to also break to rebuild, right? It's just like the fungus,
Yes.
breaking and rebuilding. But
Yes.
there's one thing that I can encourage everyone on this call and in life to do is to accept. What happens is we cause so much chaos for ourselves because we go against what's happening. So, a perfect
Okay.
example is the coronavirus, the pandemic. Now, I'm so used to dealing with crap that for me, I
Mm.
accept things quite easily. But it's like those 5 stages of grief, right? It's the shock, it's the denial, it's the anger, it's the depression, it's all of that. Then finally, it's acceptance. If you can teach yourself and others how to accept quicker, you can get focused and galvanize very quickly. So when it came to COVID, I had accepted that our office will shut down. And 2 weeks before our president spoke about what's going to happen, I actually got a virtual assistant. I already told my team, I said, this is what's happening. It's coming. In fact, it's the first time that my CFO and I ever fought because he is risk averse. And that's a good CFO. He's a loyal
Of
skeptic in
course.
the Enneagram. That's
Sure.
his job. So I said, guys, you got to start planning to work from home. Who needs fiber? Who needs data? We will take care of this. And he says, no, 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 no. Everyone must still come to work, still come to work. And then I said to him, Nitesh, whether you like it or not, this thing is coming. So best we be prepared for it and not be on the back foot. And I was telling my father's business at the time, get yourself a virtual switchboard, get yourself this. And people were kind of in denial about it. But the quicker you accept something, you can hyper focus on that and then transition whatever that pain or chaos is a lot quicker. And I think that's been a skill that I've been able to, unfortunately, with all the trauma, hone that things become quicker and quicker to accept.
Ah, amazing. Yeah, it's been absolutely fantastic. So maybe to close us off, I see Shay is on the call. He was the founder of Better Place to Work. Shay, just maybe some closing thoughts. I know building better places for work is always close to your heart. Maybe and some comments on Yale this morning. How did you find the talk? It'd be lovely to have you close us out today. It's very special to have you on the call. Oh, just on mute, Shay. Sorry.
Apologies. Yes, loved this morning session and lots of alignment with Better Place to Work, which really is all about creating a needs-focused culture, needs and help, very similar. A needs-focused culture supported by needs-driven leadership. So that's what we're doing. How do we get the best out of our people? It's about connecting with their needs and getting people involved in articulating their needs rather than folding their arms and expecting management to sort everything out. So lots of alignment in what we were chatting about this morning, and loved, loved, loved the session.
Terrific. Uh, Over to you, Kathy. Thank you, Yael.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, Yael. That was very inspiring. And now I understand why you love sloths so much, because sloths have got so much of an ecosystem, fungi, everything in them. So I get that. I really get that, because I think a sloth is not, they're very cute, but I mean, I think some people are quite disgusted by them, let's put it that way. But it was really, I think it hits home to certain people because they have also been through so much, but they think that they're dealing with it alone. So what you've spoken about today makes people realize that you're not alone. And especially in the workplace, because you've got so many, so many hours that you work with these people, to actually have them as a family and be able to talk and just be open. I think that makes it, it's special. It really is special. Thank you very, very much for joining us today, especially one of the first, well, the first speaker with Spark Shift Succeed, which I think you have shown us. And then next week, we're going to be having Ursula Buerta. She speaks more on communication and leadership. And again, 9 o'clock next Monday. Thanks, everybody.
Bye.
Bye.